let's start at the NHRA, right? If you were the creative director for the NHRA's Top Fuel Funny Car Pro Show, let's include Top Fuel Funny Car and Pro Stock, even Pro Stock Motorcycle. How would you? Are there any changes you would make to how the show is presented, or how maybe first in the live event venue, but then we'll talk about the production and presentation on television second?
Yeah, I think that one of the opportunities that's there, and actually, I had an opportunity to talk with Brian Loans a little bit, and it sounds like that's something they are pursuing as well. Is they have not embraced the analytics side of things the way that other sports have to this point yet, and not only analytics, but from like an overlays perspective. I think that there's some really interesting graphical overlays or data that could be shown when showing replays. I think they've got some great camera angles and things along those lines. But to be able to show a blimp view or whatever and actually visualize specific things that were happening on a run. So if you think about, like, one of the metrics I was talking to him about was like an efficiency metric. So did this car, okay, so this car ran a 369, but it also drove 1,420 feet in order to get to the finish line. Well, actually, that'd be a really long way after 1,000 feet. It drove 1,100 feet. So it was only actually an 89% efficient run because of how much extra ground it covered. To be able to start showing that, to put that also on the driver, not only can this guy cut a light, but he's dominant when it comes to staying in the groove and to making the most of every single run that he does. It's like finding ways to just like put that even further, just how technical it is to make an actual perfect run down the racetrack. So I think
the visual of that would be powerful too, right? I think about JT's always watching golf, and I'm always blown away with the ball tracking. You know, I mean, we watch a Major League Baseball game, you're seeing the speed of the ball, you're seeing the trajectory of the ball, and you could apply that exact thing to drag racing. And I can just see Tony Pedregon drawing on a screen or whatever, like a green line. Look how far out of the groove he is.
There's like a race pack in every NFL player's shoulder pads these days. Yeah. And I mean, we've had a head start on these guys for 20 years and haven't been using the data that's clearly available. And that these guys, I mean, that literally fuels drag racing, could also be presented on TV to the masses. And so that's
clutch applications. I mean, I wonder if people are like afraid of like letting their tune-up out of the bag or something, but I could see like race pack graphs being integrated into the television production, because I think that's something that is super interesting.
Really interesting. Yeah.
There's stuff too, like you think about, like from a race pack perspective. So like when you ever get into a pedal fest, you can see the exact amount of time that somebody was on and off the throttle. So did this guy let the car calm down too quick before he went into the wall, or what was the actual the process of what was going on in those certain situations, that you can, I think, really lure the video or the viewer in even more to understand just how complex it is going from A to B in any of the types of cars, whether it's fuel car, pro stock, whatever.
Yeah, I think it comes down to lack of resources, because it takes a lot of resources to do the ball tracking in money. Yeah, mainly money and time and everything that goes into the investment of doing the ball tracking in golf and all the stuff we see in the NFL. And they just haven't had those resources, at their disposal to do that. So are they working on getting the resources for that, or allocating resources to getting invested in that?
From what I understand, it's something that's definitely on the radar. It is a package that Fox has that is available to NASCAR, but man, it's a pretty penny from what I understand in order to be able to access into those. But I just feel like it could open up so many doors in terms of educating fans exactly what is going on and who really is doing it better than the other person.
The thing that I think, yes, and we have to, and I actually think, Corey, that's a good one too, is that I don't know that we're doing a good enough job talking about average reaction times. Like I find myself struggling, even because the point I'm trying to make is it would help everybody. Everybody's going to do a better job. Like your announcers, if they had access to some of that data, and we know that the technology exists to like Bluetooth to your race pack, right? I mean,
think of all the stats they have in other sports, like the announcers, you just mentioned.
Yeah, and you just don't, because you need
these
talking
absurd
points.
Stats throughout a game, right? And when someone comes up and it's been
probably
987 games since he's
just the most off the wall shit they have at their fingertips, and we have none of that. And to me, the biggest thing that I've always seen about drag racing, even since childhood, is hey, yeah, my dad drag races. Oh, is that where you just like push the gas and go straight?
Yes.
And that's the perception that we still have to fight.
Oh, because any other sport, if you watch Travis
Right.
Pastrana do a backflip on a dirt bike, that shit looks hard.
Right.
It looks super sketchy. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that could do it. I don't want to do it, but you compare and contrast
Especially
that to
when you
drag
put the
racing.
football pads on and he did the double, like
Yeah, I mean, there's this stuff. I mean, it visually is more. The degree of difficulty. I don't know. It's that much different. And what's always interesting, if you talk to Ken Block, the famed YouTube superstar and rallycross legend, he wants no part of a Top Fuel dragster. I mean, I guarantee you he wouldn't drive Corey's car, right? But to the casual passing motorsports fan, what he does going up a mountain or whatever looks much more difficult, looks harder. So we have to find, as a sport, we got to challenge ourselves and accept that challenge, embrace it. How can we demonstrate the nuance of our sport and the technicalities that exist within this sport? Because, I mean, it's also talking points. Like, we find ourselves, we're just saying shit and we don't really have anything to back it up. Like, I'm going, Mike Castellani, he's one of the best levers in the history of pro mod drag racing. And I'm like, I don't really know if that's true. I just know that I've seen him cut a lot of good lights and I've seen him win some whole races on hole shots, but I don't have the stats to back that up. I'm just saying stuff, right? I mean, you look at, I don't know, there's not easy access. And don't get me wrong, I believe there are people within our sport that keep track of this type of stuff, but it's not like readily available where, we can pull up.
Wouldn't it be awesome if somebody came up and you could show how efficient this one was leaving the line? I mean, you could come up with some true underdog
when it's not
stories,
presented
right?
in a graphical format, even if it's available in a spreadsheet, it's like, holy, I'm not, digesting that.
Nobody gets that. But if you were showing, like this guy
be
is
able to
dominant
show
at this, and he's going up against this big team, and he's kind of independent over here. I mean, you could really come up with some good stuff there.
Yeah,
that's your job, Corey. We're giving you this assignment today to revolutionize drag racing.
Go ahead. Quit your job.
We're gonna go ahead and let you go so you get started on this.
That sounds good.
Don't waste any time.
Just to be able to show that type of stuff, I think, like from that efficiency standpoint, where it's like, that guy ran a 71, but if he was 10% more efficient, that was a 69, and actually now he's going to be the number 3 qualifier, and he's got a much better first round matchup because of it, and or all those other situations that just currently aren't being shown. And it just puts, I think, that much more onus on being perfect every time you go up to the starting line, because you're being evaluated as well. It's like every PGA Tour guy seeing the PXG hat that JT's wearing, every single shot that they've got on tour is monitored by a TrackMan. They've got the ball tracer, they've got the ball speed, every single thing that's happening is on display to see where the smallest mistake was made and why it didn't get any closer to the pin.
Because golf is a technical sport where the smallest detail matters.
You should see how technical I am with it.
Yeah, but it also looks easy. It's, to me, is mostly like drag racing in that if you've never played golf, you would think, that looks pretty easy. I could do that. But see, golf is more accessible. So most people have had that thought, stepped out onto a golf course, got their ass kicked and said, yeah, that's pretty difficult. But most people haven't gone drag racing to find out how difficult it actually is.
Yep.